Hello, hello. Hi. Hello, hello.
So let's kick the second part, and Daniel Steigerwald is gonna tell us about his new project, which is called Evolu.
Thank you. Hi. Seen some well-known traditional approach to build application called client-server. You have the client, the browser, and some server doing its stuff. And this approach has its own, of course, it has advantages. Of course, it has some disadvantages. And I don't have slides. I have only just one slide, and I hope my talk will be super short because I'm not in the mood to speaking because I visited this today, and it's pain. It's pain in the mouth. It's even worse than pain in the ass. You know that. So pain in the mouth is even worse. Pain could be So let's start with the problem. Why local first? Local first term was probably first described in this famous, internet second. Now you see why you need local first, because without the internet, this will not ever happen with local first approach. So local first, your own data in spite of the cloud. Historically, we started with something like thick client. Do you know everybody what thick client is? Thick client is some application which runs on the computer and doesn't need internet to work. Of course, thick clients or fat clients. Stop body fat shaming. Thick clients doesn't work well in the internet age. That's why client server became so popular, because we like Google application where we can close one computer and continue with work on some different computer because of client server. Client server is nice all, but without the server you can't work. Server. Historically, it was probably inevitable evolution step, but we can have best from the both worlds. And that's the local first. First, I will show you mandatory demo. So you should see what we are talking about. No, this is not, this is the previous. So here's some example for Next.js, some to-do category. I will show you the source code later. The important thing is what it does. So I can add some to-do, explain local first. And now I want to continue on different computer. I need to authenticate myself on a different computer by the mnemonic. Mnemonic is, if you know Bitcoin, you know what is mnemonic. If you don't know Bitcoin, mnemonic is special, super strong password without the email, only password, no emails, no sign-ups, only the password, and the password consists of 12 words. So I will use these 12 words, and now I will open Firefox. Imagine it's a different, I don't have Firefox here, okay. So incognito window will be good enough. It's not my developer computer, it's my a porno computer. No, I don't watch porn. It's a funny joke. Okay, this is the like a different device because it's different origin, different, and you can restore owner. And now I see the data. I can continue as to category, talks, and switch to here, and you some data synchronized among devices. And oh, thank you. Don't be shy. Show your real express. Okay, so Evolu, it's not framework for to-do apps. It's library for local first application. Local first means, what does it mean? Local first means the data of the application stored the device itself. And the server needed for synchronization backup. Message buffer. The server knows nothing about it. Only the user ID, timestamp, and some encrypt, nothing else. So you primarily write your code, not some long-distance SQL server or somewhere, but against the SQLite in your browser. Do you know SQLite? It's a quite fascinating library. SQLite is probably the most, not probably, it's definitely the most deployed SQL server. Every device, maybe your washing machine, your car is using SQLite. It's a C library for very full-featured SQL engine. The beauty of SQLite is SQL with all features you would expect, like virtual tables, joins, queries, etc. Because if you want to write a real application, you need the real database. And SQLite is a real database, except it's super small. In browser, it's roughly 400 kilobytes. It's nothing, it's 2 images. And it's full-fledged database. So, Evolu itself is very simple. It's a React hooks. Other frameworks will be supported. I prefer React, but there is no reason to it doesn't work with SolidJS, something like that. These hooks are pretty simple. So you will start with defining database schema, rows and columns. Here you see some things maybe new for you. I don't use generic primitive types like string because the string doesn't say nothing. I say it's non-empty string with max length 1000, for example. But this is out of topic. Shows why you see this. I don't know. Do you know Zod? Who knows Zod? Zod's dead, baby. Zod's dead. No, what was that's that? Who's Zod? Zod's dead, baby. Do you know which movie is it? Pulp Fiction, yes. Please raise your hand if you know what Zod is. Okay. It's something every developer should love. Why? Runtime, TypeScript runtime checks. Jesus Christ. Where is it? Okay, here. Here is the example. This is all you need to know about the Zot. Zot didn't invented this approach when you describe your type with some factories. And look, you will get TypeScript as well. What's it for? It's for validation of data from different REST APIs, etc. Basically, you should validate all data coming to your application. And you can do it manually, or you can describe the schema, and then you can use parse. So you probably know what Zot is. Evolu is using. I hope you should. Different work, the same idea. You describe type. You can validate, parse any data, and of course, you don't have to type those type twice. So there are roughly 10 different libraries in the JavaScript ecosystem doing the same thing. Describe your type. This is a struct, string is types, and here you can use it for runtime validation, because everybody knows that TypeScript helping you time. It's compiling during the time, but our application live in a runtime, and we need to decode data in runtime. So, but it's not what Evolu is about. Evolu is only using those types. This is the Zot types for schema. And because it's types, you have autocomplete type checking. This actually is SQL. If you were in type checkable form, using Kisely. If you are doing SQL and not using Kisely, you are stealing from yourself. Really is, look. It's super smart. Those types handle even things like ring, as you will see. Person, first name, pet name, S. Pet name. And voila. Do you see pet here and pet name S? Looks like strings, but they're type checking. Kisely is a relatively new project, and if you are writing SQL manually, it's really not good, because type checking, autocomplete, you just want that stuff. That's why I'm using Kisely in Evolu. So Evolu itself, very simple API. First, you define database schema. Then you can do queries. Of course, you can do mutations. Mutations are somehow limited because of the nature of Evolu. The nature of Evolu is CRDT. CRDT, this CRDT, it's acronym for conflict-free replicated data types. As you see in the Evolu, is syncing data among devices. It's merging data without conflicts. How is it possible? It sounds like some black magic. No, it's the feature of conflict-free replicated data type. Imagine several people working on the same document, even offline, then they will merge changes without conflicts. So in order to work that, for mutation, I don't have the rich SQL here. I only change, this is a adding new to-do, or I can add or change field or different field. Then, in SQL Server running within the browser, to transfer your data to different device, Evolu generates super safe password based on BIP 39. It's called mnemonic for you. You can delete all your data if you are using some device which is not yours, and you can restore your data elsewhere. And this simple thing, it's almost all the API. It's not entire the whole API because I have some helpers for some cases, but basically you have seen 80% of Evolu. So, the problem with thick client is you are bound to one device. The problem with client server is you are bound to one server. You are local first means my application is written like thick client, but it can you can use as many devices as you want because data are synced among those devices. So, local first is the best from both worlds, and 100 privacy. All data are end-to-end encrypted. The server, which is syncing up, sees nothing. Only AMP is required. Basically, do you know signal application, super safe messages, and so design? It's super safe through the privacy, no sign up, no email, just the password. I don't need your emails. Self-sovereignty, freedom, independence. The application works without the server. The server is super simple. The version of Evolu server is 200 of love. Yes. User experience. App can work without the internet because it's not syncing immediately. It's available. No spinners, no waitings. And SQL in a browser, we can do super fast rich query without security issues. Developer experience. As you saw in the previous talk, the client server is actually not easy. To add one simple to-do in your to-do list, you have to visit many layers of your application. You have to validate in the client, then you have to send data on the server, waiting when data is delivered. On the server, you have to validate data again, store in the database, wait for the response, give the response to the browser, and browser is waiting, and it can fail, of course. 6 layers you have to travel. Your application have to travel to create, read, or update. Because you have database and REST API in your browser. You don't need all those layers. And queries and mutations never fail. Why it should fail? There is no internet, no server. So how Evolu works, I could spend hours talking about how it works. Instead of that, I will recommend you the talk from my friend.
So I'm going to start with a question. Why haven't offline first apps taken off?
Basically, that guy, the architecture Evolu is using is maybe 80% from this guy who made it for his own application for home budgeting. And during the development, he made the design of the application and made a talk from that. The talk is CRDT for mortals, for people like me and you. Because the CRDT sounds like super academic topic and you can read dozens of papers about how it works. It's very simple. And in this talk has 20 minutes, explain how.
The big problem with the web is that it does not work offline. And even if you are online, if you're on a slow internet connection, your app feels terrible. That sucks. Take a step back. That seems like a really big limitation of writing apps. So there's this idea where you write apps that work offline by taking offline into consideration from the very beginning.
He's speaking about the offline application. It was promising idea. Application will work offline. The problem is you can think about the offline. You have to design totally differently to work with offline. You have to design your application like local first software. For example, with the syncing, a lot of bad things can happen, and your framework, Evolu, have to think about that. For example, the different devices can have wrong clock, because the computer clock is the super unreliable things. Many people are not aware of that, but the clocks can be late, can be frozen, can go in different direction, and that could be really confusing for naively implemented thing. The managing must be super stable and super robust. So we have few patterns called vector clocks. Here. Hybrid logical clocks is this some kind of concept, and you need timestamps. This is the source code of the whole its server. So, and because Evolu is very the server is almost. It's not point to show the talk. If you are interested in how Evolu works, you should take a look at this talk. This talk is great. So, business. Where is the business? Because Evolu is open source, and Evolu server is open source as well. Where is the money? My idea is to sell the sync and backup Evolu server for you. If you want to make application which is local first and you don't want to maintain your server, you can. Actually, Evolu already has, if you will run Evolu on a computer, it already runs on Evolu server. You don't have to run your own server. It's not official yet. It's some testing server. It's not official yet. So, do you know Trezor? How many people of you know Trezor? Great. For people who doesn't know Trezor, what Trezor is the Czech invention. It's this hardware thing for your coins or shit coins. And the founders of this company are my friends, and they have Trezor has application, and it has some feature, it's called labeling, when you can attach some information for some transaction, where those data should be stored. Because Trezor is obsessive with privacy. They don't want to know what their users are buying or selling. They need to store data somewhere, ideally in the client devices. So it sounds like a task for Evolu, and it is. So in a few months, the Trezor and their second product, Vexel, will use Evolu for data. So this is my business strategy, master plan, super secret. I hope you are impressed. It really took me a long time to figure it out. Okay, roadmap. Evolu is already released. I promised to release today, but and it was a good decision because then I was in, and never mind. Evolu is releasing. I think the core Evolu logic is very, very stable. I'm using it for maybe 7 or 8 months without changes. The core logic is super stable. The Evolu only will switch from Zot to schema, because Zot is nice and all, but schema is much, much better. Zot is copycat of IOTS, and the schema is from the author of IOTS. So from your point of view, it change almost nothing. Some function will have different name and type probably, but nothing serious. But it's breaking change, so that's why Evolu 2. Next thing, I want to support native and Electron. It's because React Native has SQLite binding for Electron. All browsers except Internet Explorer. Do you know what Internet Explorer is? Great. There's a
Died, right?
maybe you can ask, so SQL server in browser, where the data is stored. Was using the terrible hack it was using file system emulated on IndexedDB. Not anymore. Evolu is using origin private file system where available. What the fuck? Oh, this thing. Origin private file system is a brand new API, and this API is working only in Chrome, but in Safari and Firefox, Evolu is temporarily using local storage. Local storage is limited, it's not as fast, it's blocking the main thread, it works. Good thing is both Safari and Firefox are working a lot on OPFS, Origin Private File System support. I think Firefox is already done. It's in beta, and Safari will be ready soon. So maybe you can ask, because Evolu is for local data of one user, but how does it solve the collaboration? The thing is, I was thinking collaboration among several users a lot, and I designed some system based on a public-private cryptography, and then I discovered Nostr, and that's how I will use how I will implement collaboration in Evolu. Do you know Nostr? No. You should. Nostr is amazing new decentralized social network. It looks like it's Nostr. It's not. It's a protocol. Whatever. It's Nostr. It's not one application. Nostr is protocol for social networks designed by a Bitcoiner. Now it was released. Maybe it's a relatively new, few months, something like that, and already exist a lot of different clients. It's really funny how all the Nostr things what started by this simple README. I love the nodes and other stuff transmitted by relays. Nostr. And the biggest client is Damus, like Nostradamus. Looks like that. Basically all Twitter clones or Facebook clones, but all those different clones are based on the same API. The same API, this guy wrote super short README. The problem with Twitter has ads, Twitter uses bizarre techniques to keep you addicted, Twitter bans people, Twitter shadow bans people, Twitter has a lot of spam. The problem with Mastodon is much worse than Twitter. It's even worse than Twitter. Mastodon sucks. So he designed the protocol, and the protocol is specified by NIPs, Nostr implementation possibilities. This is documents describe how that protocol works. Everybody can write NIPs, and every developer can choose which NIPs are supported. And there is a library for JavaScript from the same author, which just implement JavaScript libraries implementing possibilities. So it's like framework for making social networks. It's no Web3 blockchain shit, nothing like that. It's made from the Bitcoiner on the healthy ground. And from the Evolu point of view, I will use the account management. It's very similar. What have you seen with mnemonic? The Nostr is basically the same. So, but this isn't talk about the Nostr. You should, if you are curious, enables truly censorship resistant. It's not bullshit like the whole Web3. If you read about Web3, is totally bullshit. Shitcoin, Ethereum, it does not work. It will not work. It doesn't work. So the roadmap use account management from Nostr and share some functionality. Social networks, Evolu is for applications, so things similar, but and the master plan is platform for personal knowledge graphs, semantic desktop. I have the evolu.dev. It's the open source thing. The business will be on evolu.io, and evolu.me will be something like Notion or Obsidian or Log4sec or Apple Notes application mixed together, but not closed source, it will be open source. But this is the master plan, it's a distant future. The good thing, we already have something which works. Maybe what I can show you, I think it's all you need to know. I will show you, this is some real code, looks, I will make a typo, and all these SQL are typed. I think the type. The whole to-do example is here. One page. I think that's all. So if you have question, please ask. And thank you for your attention.
Great, thank you. So, first one. Could you please explain how conflict-free data system works? Because probably we need just replace our Git branches with system and.
It could work. Merging without it could work if you have the whole history. So you step back. Merging without conflict doesn't mean it will magically merge like a human would merge it. It means it will merge somehow. It's using the last right win technique, but because all data are in the device, you have a time traveling feature. Data which has been override don't disappear. It's just a new version. So you can take a step back.
Other questions?
No questions?
Do you know GAN.js?
Yes, I know that.
How does it compare to that?
GAN.js, it's very slow, it's very complicated, and there is no SQL server. Evolu is super simple, really is. And that simple doesn't mean it's not powerful. It's just super focused on its SQL and replication of SQL among devices. And the SQL thing is important because you can't write the real application on the but good to hear you know GAN.js. When I saw the GAN.js, I wasn't sure if it's a joke or not. Obviously, it really exists, but decide for yourself. It's like a game, some game. I saw the it's not the only project trying to make local first, but so far it's probably the best because I started with real SQL. That was when GAN.js was developed. They have no other option. They have used the local storage, maybe, and of an abstraction. I didn't have to do that. The reason is Chrome decided to deprecate WebSQL, and as a replacement, they are paying the team behind SQLite to make SQLite awesome. So Evolu is the best because it's new, because we have new tools, because we have SQLite WebAssembly. So the huge amount of GAN.js code wasn't necessary, and that's all.
Great. There is one question in the back.
I have a question just about this conflict-free, this data type, this kind of way of the approach, which is then append only, right? So just my thinking is, what happens to this app going forward over span of multiple years, like year after year of development? And then get like bloated and messy with still having to support all
That's
these
the
all
one.
the time.
Yes, because the local data are meant to be forever, ephemeral. It means the data scheme will bloat, but it will be bloat a lot. You can, instead of, you can do the migration in a different schema if you really wish. But I don't think, it's like GraphQL. GraphQL has also no versioning, no schema model, and it works well for them. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Yes. Local first data are meant to last forever, but schema evolves. So I designed the versionless schema like GraphQL nullability and versioning, the same principle GraphQL is using, I'm using for Evolu as well. I think it's probably the best. And I'm giving help queries so you can wrap and abstract those legacy data under the better types abstraction if you wish. And you will do that.
All right, yes. One last question was here. Yeah, just simple question. The data are stored in browser, so you don't have like controller to put them on a disk. Okay.
Yes, are stored in browser, but what happens if your browser deleted? Those data are also stored by Evolu server, but it's encrypted. The service is also for a backup. You've seen that I can. Where is the second window? No. I'll show you something. I have some data here already. I have my mnemonic. I can reset owner, and now all data are deleted from the device. But I can restore them immediately. Do you see?
Okay.
Because those data are of course encrypted. So me as a provider, I don't see anything. Yes?
And how is user supposed to store safely this mnemonic?
That's a good question. That's a good question, and Nostr actually showed us way, because the mnemonic is very critical thing of those security, and the same issue have a Nostr, because the Nostr is using the very similar approach. Long story short, the best what we have today is using Chrome extension, which is not exposed to the memory of your application. It only exposes one thing to and decryption. So actually, this password can be taken out of the tab memory and could be stored elsewhere. It's the Nostr proposal which I'm going to implement as well. So there is a way.
Great, thank you very much.
I hope it was short enough.
That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Actually, we had 2 new paid tools introduced by their authors, which I feel is great. So please let us know whether you like that, what you think, and again, I would like to mention our sponsors, which is Session and PriceFX. And now, who wants to go for here? We have a booking in local Turin, which is like 3 minutes walk.
It's great pub.
Karel actually already went there because we are on time, and he went there to take the table. So please just don't want to go for a beer. Otherwise, thank you for being here, and hope to see you next time. Thank you.